Welcome to the webinar. We are sending live from the visualization studio at the School of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science. Please feel free to submit your questions during the webinar, and the presenters will answer as many of them as possible during the webinar and at the end of the presentation. Please go ahead and start with the presentation.
Warmly welcome to this webinar from the School of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science at KTH in Stockholm, Sweden. We are sending from these beautiful old brick buildings that you see in this first picture here. There's going to be two persons in the air from EECS here today. My name is Marcus Hidell. I'm an associate professor in communication systems. I'm also the deputy director of first and second cycle of education at the school. And I have a certain responsibility for sustainable development as well as for internationalization. I do research and I do teaching. In the research area, I'm currently mostly interested in things like Internet of Things and energy-efficient networks, and I supervise PhD students in these areas. When it comes to teaching, I teach courses like Networks and Communications, Advanced Internet Networking, Internet Security and Privacy, and so on. So even though I have been here at KTH for quite a long time, I do have some experience from outside these walls. As a PhD student at KTH, I was involved in the spin-off of a startup company in the late 90s. So we started and built this company based on, during a couple of years, with international venture capital to commercialize network results of ours for a couple of years. After that, I went back to KTH to finish my PhD studies, and later on I became an associate professor over here. And my friend here is Sri.
Yeah. Hi everyone, I'm Sri Janani. I'm a first year master student here at KTH in the program of Embedded Systems. And so I'm a student ambassador as well for the Embedded Systems program. And my academic interest would be probabilistic robotics and computer vision. I'm very much intrigued by computers, math and a combination of both of them. So these courses represent my interests. And apart from my academic interest, I have few interesting hobbies, which would be cooking, photography, especially food photography, and dancing. So that's all about me.
Okay, thank you very much. So the School of EECS is located at two different campuses. So we are a distributed school. We are located at the main campus at Valhallavägen, downtown Stockholm. This is sort of the home of the majority of the KTH programs that we have. We are also located at the Kista campus. It's one of the world's strongest ICT clusters, the home of over 1,000 ICT companies, and it's located some 15 kilometers north of here. You can see it in the upper end of the picture here. It says KTH Kista in top. So Sri, what campus do you study at?
So the specialization that I have is embedded control. So the embedded portion of it, I'll be studying it at KTH Kista, and the control portion of it, I'm studying it at KTH main campus. So I'm juggling between the two campuses.
Oh, well, that's really nice. You get to see both worlds, so to speak.
True that.
Yes, and the school conducts research and education within electrical engineering, computer science, and information and communication technology. And this school of ours, EECS, it's a new school, but it rests upon rather old traditions. It has roots all the way back to the beginning of the previous century. EECS was founded January 1st, 2018, in a merger between electrical engineering, communication and computer science, and information and communication technology. And EECS was merged with a declared intent of solving the future societal challenges. We are very proud of our ranking within our specialties or within our areas. We are ranked top 20 in electrical engineering, top 5 in Europe, and we are ranked top 50 in computer science, top 15 in Europe, which is really nice. The KTH in total holds 5 different schools, and the EECS schools is the largest school at KTH. We are around 4,400 students at this school, roughly 450 PhD students, and over 200 faculty members. in addition to the master programs that we're going to talk about today, we manage a whole lot of other programs. In total, we manage 26 education programs at the basic and advanced level, or at the first and second cycle. And in addition to that, we manage 4 doctoral programs, which is third cycle programs. So that is a little bit about KTH and EECS in numbers, and you can find more information about that by following the links over here. So at our school, there are 2 main fields of study: electrical engineering and computer science and engineering. And it's really, really exciting that we now, after the merge, have these 2 areas under the same roof. There is a great need in the future for engineers and researchers, both in the area of electrical engineering and in the area of computer science. And our research and our teaching activities in these 2 areas, they make it possible for us to address potential challenges by creating new knowledge in the borderline between electrical engineering and computer science, which is super interesting to be active in that field or in that combination of fields. That is a great opportunity of being at this school. Since EECS is a rather large school, we divide our education into 6 different departments. So they span over several different fields. The departments are electronics and embedded systems, electrical energy engineering, intelligent systems, communication, computer science, and human-centered technology. So all the courses that we give within our programs, the courses that really manifest our programs, they are managed by the departments. The programs themselves, how we organize things, that is managed at the school level. So that was a little bit about how we are organized and so on. So now let's talk about the master programs which you are interested in over there. So when you come to the KTH web and you start looking for information about our programs, this is pretty much what I believe you will start with, this particular page over here. You have 18 master programs sorted in alphabetic order, which is nice. So what can I do here now to help you and to assist you during this webinar, to help you navigate through this offering of ours, because it is quite massive, I would say. So the first thing I would do would be to sort of try to organize our different programs in relation to the education areas, or to the research areas, or to the main fields of study, electrical engineering and computer science. And if I do that, we can look at on the left-hand side, you have 4 electrical engineering programs: electromagnetism, fusion and space engineering, electric power engineering, nanotechnology, information and network engineering. On the right-hand side, we have 5 computer science related programs. It's computer science, needless to say, software engineering and distributed systems, interactive media technology, machine learning, and media management. And then we have 4 programs that more or less should be sorted in the borderline between these 2 fields of ours. It's embedded systems, systems control and robotics, ICT innovation, and communication systems. So these 4 programs can actually give a degree in either one of these 2 fields of study, depending a little bit on what specialization you select and what courses you read. So the observant student now will notice that there are only 13 programs here, while there were 18 on the previous slide. So what happened, and what about the other 5 programs? Well, the ones that I talked about just were the KTH programs that we manage totally here ourselves. In addition to those, we have 5 joint programs, 5 joint master programs. And these are all European university collaboration that we are involved in. They are based on student mobility. Typically, the student will spend 1 year at KTH and 1 year at one of the partner universities. And which one the partner university is depends on the type of collaboration. So 2 of these categories here are EIT InnoEnergy and EIT Digital. They both sort under EIT, the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. EIT Energy is, or InnoEnergy, that will address sustainable energy as its priority area. It's offered by 4 European universities in collaboration, and KTH is one of them. We have 3 programs that belongs to that. Digital have a focus on innovation and entrepreneurship. So it's a combination between being specialized in a technical area of ours and also study entrepreneurship and innovation. This program is offered by 17 European universities altogether. And on the right-hand side, we have another collaboration. It's called an Erasmus Plus program. That is a collaboration between 6 European universities, and we run a program called Security and Cloud Computing, SECCLO, where you spend 1 year in Aalto in Finland and another year potentially at KTH. So the very observant student now can see that ICT innovation appeared both in the previous slide and in this one. So that brings us to an interesting opportunity for those navigating in one of our programs right now. If you are interested in such a field, which is available both through a KTH program and through a joint programs, you have multiple choices to enter that program. You can apply to ICT Innovation, the KTH local program, through the KTH admission system, and have access to the KTH scholarships related to that. You can also apply through EIT Digital in this particular case, if you see it as an example. And that is a different application system with a different evaluation of the application and other scholarship opportunities. So look carefully among these programs and see, is my interest represented not only in the KTH local programs but also in a joint program? I might want to apply to both of them. So hopefully that have brought some sort of structure into how one of Europe's leading technical universities within sustainability, and that is something we are really proud of. Our president has a motto saying that research and education for a brighter tomorrow, that is what we are dealing with here. And KTH rests upon 4 different pillars. Sustainability is one of those. And at the EECS, we continuously work with the integration of sustainable development into our education programs. That means a lot of different things. First of all, we have undergone a process when all the programs have related to the key, most important SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, as stated by UN. So we have identified 3 key SDGs for each individual program, and you will find this information on the program descriptions, together with the reasoning for why this particular key SDGs are relevant to that program. In addition to that, we need to ensure that we have a broad and deep offering of courses which are related to sustainable development. That means that they should have learning objectives, learning activities, assessment of sustainability subjects inside the courses. Our ambition in the long term is to make it possible for students to get a sustainability profile on their education. So in this webinar, we will not be able to go through the details of every single individual master program of ours. You have a lot of useful information on the program, program information on the web for these things. But in the following 4 slides, we have listed every single KTH program with its specializations together with the key SDGs to make it possible for you to get an overview. So you can download this presentation, you can look at the PDF afterwards, and you can use it as a guide when you navigate through our program offering. So if we take a couple of examples over here, we have electrical power engineering in the lower left-hand corner. Here you specialized in one of 2 specified areas. They are all listed over here. And you can see the 3 key SDGs related to that particular program. On the right-hand side, in the low box, you have information and network engineering. There are 4 specialization tracks over there: information engineering, multimedia processing and analysis, communications engineering, and network systems. And then you can see the SDGs related to that program. So use this information to help you navigate and sort things out for when you go through the program offering. The 4 programs over here, by the way, are the ones related to the electrical engineering field. On this slide, we have the 4 programs that are in the borderline between electrical engineering and computer science. It's embedded systems, ICT innovation, systems control and robotics, and communication systems. So perhaps you would like to say a few words about why you selected your particular program, Sri.
Yeah, embedded systems. It's about small computers, I would say, our mobile phones. They are a sized down version of the computer that you have normally. So the program embedded system, it deals about what program do you write to run that particular object or the system, and how to design that particular system, and also to identify and design algorithms that are going to be run on that system. So, as I told you, I am very much intrigued about math and robotics. So, I thought I would study embedded control specialization, which deals with the algorithms that are going to be run on those small systems, small embedded systems. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's very exciting. It sounds like in your particular case, it's really a mix of mathematics, software development, and platforms for actually executing the software that you're developing. So it's a very nice combination, I would say. So on this slide and on the next one, we have the programs that are related to computer science. We are not able to fit them all in one slide, so we have split them up into two. Here we have software engineering and distributed systems. We have machine learning, and we have computer science. It's worth mentioning that the application pressure, the number of applications per seat, is extremely high for machine learning and computer science these days. That is something for you to be aware of. Furthermore, you can probably see that computer science is a very large program actually, and it's broad with many different specialization tracks, all the way from data science and software technology to interaction design and so on. So there are lots of different specialization tracks in this program. The two remaining programs in the computer science area are interactive media technology and media management. Media management is organized into two different areas. It's a little bit differently organized than several of the other programs. It's organized around the media production area, where the technical courses are, and in the management area, which includes courses given by another school, School of Industrial Engineering and Management, which is another KTH school, and also courses from the Stockholm School of Economics, typically in the form of different projects. So that sort of concludes the description about the programs and how they're related to each other and how you can organize them. What we would like to move on with now is to talk a little bit about the research that is going on at the School of EECS. Now, our programs are closely related to the research within the school, and it gives subject width, we give students access to new knowledge and research methods here through the research. And the research in electrical engineering and computer science, it contributes to sustainable development through innovations, new technology, and dissemination of knowledge. So the EECS research is world-leading in several different areas, and we use a mix of theoretical, experimental, and multidisciplinary approaches. So our researchers, they produce sustainable and pioneering solutions to real societal problems and challenges. Our research is also very broad in the sense that we cover a lot of different sub-areas, and we have organized the research into 16 different divisions. We don't need to go through all of them over here, but just to give you a feeling for it, we have divisions reaching all the way from electric power and energy systems to media technology interaction design, and a lot of different interesting things in between here. And these 16 divisions are sorted under the departments that I mentioned earlier. So the research in electrical engineering and computer science, we have internationally prominent research in several different areas. It's within energy systems, systems engineering, electronics, communication systems, computer science, software development, and human-computer interaction. To give you a taste of the EECS research, we have listed a couple of different examples of recent research being conducted here at the school. For instance, we would like to mention the Fur Hat, a social robot making unbiased recruitments. Geocode, open source toolkit used by several major industries to develop application-based systems and applications. We have research regarding new synthetic plastic material for cancer treatment directly into the cancer cell. Development of artificial intelligence research within WASP, which is a large program in autonomous systems and software. The Wallenberg Artificial Intelligence Autonomous Systems and Software Program, and KTH is an important part of that. We also have recent research within 5G networks and security. We have research regarding components heading for Mercury to investigate its magnetosphere. It's a huge challenge to send electronic devices all the way there, and also to do measurements in these environments. That requires deep technology skills to do that. We have other examples of robots being able to follow the movements and commands of a human in real time. And we have a smart grid Gotland, the world's smartest electricity network. Gotland, by the way, is an island outside Sweden, in the Baltic Sea. So that is a little bit to give you a taste of different projects that the EECS is involved in, and you can find a lot more, of course. It's also worth mentioning the different research environments that you might get in touch with during your studies over here, either when you're here as a master student or if you perhaps will continue to do PhD studies here in the future. I understand that that is a little bit far ahead, but some of you are probably thinking about this already now. And the school has access to many excellent research environments. Many of them are only one of a kind. Some examples are over here with pictures. We have the Smart Mobility Lab, the X-Trap Fusion Reactor, the Visualization Studio, which, by the way, is where we are located right now. This is where we're sending from, the Visualization Studio. We have a Robotics Lab and a PDC Center for High Performance Computing, and an Electrical Laboratory. Now, the two latter deserves a little bit more mentioning because they are often described and used as key infrastructures in research collaboration, both nationally and internationally. So the Electron Laboratory, for instance, it's located in the Kista campus, and it's a 1,300 square meters clean room for education, research, prototyping, and production. And the PDC, High Parallel Computing machine, is a huge supercomputer. It's named Beskov after a very famous Swedish author, and it's one of the fastest academic supercomputing systems in Scandinavia. So that sort of concludes a little bit about the research and the research environments of ours here. So another question is, how will our education respond to the needs out there? Will you be attractive in the market when you're done here? And I would say definitely. Our master's programs, they will equip you with skills suitable for work in industry, research, or as well as within innovation. And on this picture here, this is just an example. It's a small part of what we actually do at the school, but it's an example from my own field of subjects within which you can develop skills during your educations. You can develop skills within platforms, all the way for platforms from mobile units to data centers. You can develop skills within communications and connected units for things like the Internet of Things. You can develop skills within cloud-based services and applications. And you can even develop skills for how to integrate these different fields to become a really, really competitive engineer when you're done here. So I would say that there's a widely recognized need for competence in these areas and in the combination of skills within these areas. And when it comes to the career after KTH, you can find some interesting data on the slide here. For instance, 50% have a job offering before graduating, but make sure that you get the degree. Don't start working here without getting the degree. That's going to be important for you. 20% of the students, they actually get their first job through the degree project. We have a huge amount of degree projects from companies around us, both here at Valhallavägen and at the campus in Kista. Remember that in Kista there are over 1,000 ICT companies. So degree projects in that area is something that you can find over there. 20% of the students, of the alumnus, they go on to doctoral education. At KTH, a doctoral education would mean 1 year of courses and 3 years of research. It's not done in order, you mix it, of course. But it's 4 years of studies altogether, research and courses. And you have a monthly salary during the time that you do these studies, for up to 4 years then. So a question to Shri, would you like to share your thoughts about your future career?
So my current plan, or I'm just thinking about my immediate future right now. That is to get a good thesis under a good professor and a company in a good topic. That's my immediate future plan. Yeah,
I understand.
Yeah.
And hopefully you might find an interesting employer during that process as well.
Probably.
As long as you get the degree, of course.
Yes.
Okay, so would you like to say a little bit more about the student life at KTH?
Yes. I was fortunate enough to have a great student life at KTH actually. So as soon as you enter the Arlanda airport of Stockholm, you are welcomed by the student union members, the THS student union, which is a part of KTH, and you're welcomed by them. So you feel good, you feel really good. Yeah, and after that we have a lot of receptions planned by the student union as well as the KTH school. These events are the places where you can make a lot of new friends whom you're going to bond over for the next 2 years of your master's program here at KTH. Apart from that, you have a lot of events which take you through the Stockholm city, and I took on a tour of my own in and around the Stockholm city, where I was able to spot really nice places. The one that you can see, the crown picture, the Swedish crown, which was taken on a bridge in Skeppsholmen. And you can see my apartment's view. That is a KTH accommodation. That's a really good view to wake up to.
It's a very nice view, I would say.
Yeah, and I was fortunate enough to go to Gothenburg, which is another city in Stockholm, to Liseberg Amusement Park.
The big amusement park on the west coast.
One of the biggest in Scandinavia. So it was really fun. Yeah. And then, I had an opportunity to go to Finland on a cruise, and that's the view from the deck you can see on the screen.
Nice.
And can you believe the one with the blue light is actually a metro station in Stockholm?
Yeah, that's amazing.
That pretty. And there is a fact that Stockholm has one of the biggest artistic tunnelbana in the world. And this proves the fact.
Okay.
Yeah, and then cooking. So till now I have been fed by my parents. They cook, they feed me, and when I was working, I was in an accommodation where food was a part of my package. So after coming here, I had to experiment a lot with cooking, and some of them turned out to be really good. That's the picture you can see over there.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. And I'm a vegetarian, so when I was planning to move to Europe, one of the common things which my friend told me was, you're gonna find it very difficult being a vegetarian in Europe. But Stockholm proved that to be wrong, because I found a lot of interesting vegetarian options which are not just salads. So I was happy.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. And then fall started. Along with fall, there are a lot of events planned by the school and by the student union, and one of them is the career fair Armada, which is planned by THS, which just happened the last 2 days. And it is one of the biggest career fairs in Scandinavia. So that was pretty cool. And then we have the next Student Noble Nightcap coming up in the December. Looking forward to that as well. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Thank you so much. So now you've had the pleasure of meeting Sri, and I would like to let you know that in addition to Sri, there are 16 other student ambassadors attached to our programs. So our student ambassadors, they're available on the website to answer questions about studying a master program here at the EECS. So don't hesitate to contact them. You will find them on the KTH web when you are in your process of selecting your education or which education to apply for, so to speak. You also do have a possibility to follow KTH and the School of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science in different types of media. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, the web, you pick and you choose. We are active in all of these that are listed over here. And you can also follow the International Student blog, which might be very interesting for you to get hard facts about how life is here for international students. I'd like to think that it's great, of course. So when you prepare your applications for KTH, make sure, first of all, that you fulfill the admission requirements. They are summarized on the slide over here. You need a bachelor's degree or equivalent to a Swedish bachelor's degree. You need English proficiency. And you need program-specific requirements. And they, of course, vary between the different programs that you're interested in. So read them carefully and make sure that you describe your background and your skills as good as possible to make life easy for the ones evaluating your application, because that is something that will serve you well. I will let you know that. When it comes to funding, tuition fees and stuff like that, there are scholarships to apply for. There are several different types of scholarships. I will not lie, competition for scholarships is fierce, but they're not impossible to get. I believe, in fact, that you have received a scholarship, Sri. Isn't that so?
Yeah. I was fortunate enough to receive a scholarship from KTH, which is called the KTH Scholarship. And for this, for this term, this scholarship opens from December 1 to January 15. You can find the application when you Google KTH Scholarship. You will find it on the web page. And yeah, the competition was fierce.
It is. But applying for it is simple.
Yeah, if you make your application, as you said, if you make it, if you provide as much information as you can to the evaluator, I think it's a simple process.
Yes, and there are different scholarships. There are KTH scholarships, there are Swedish Institute scholarships, external scholarships, and don't forget what I talked about a little bit earlier. In addition to the KTH programs, we have the joint master programs with a mobility perspective or a mobility approach. There are yet other scholarships available in that category, so that might be interesting for you to explore both kinds. So Sri, would you like to say a few words about how to apply?
Yeah, so the application process, it starts with university.se, and before going there, just read through all the programs, make sure you fulfill all the entry requirements for your programs, because that's what is going to make your application, it will be easier for the evaluator and as well as for you if you have the entry requirements fulfilled. So read through the program description and the entry requirements, make sure you fulfill them, keep your recommendation letters from your professor or from your managers, and as well as your motivation letters for each program that you are applying. Keep everything ready, and then you can start applying in the universityadmissions.se. It is just uploading the documents which you have ready in your local system. Yeah.
And make sure that the application is complete. When you evaluate these things, and believe me, I have evaluated thousands and thousands of these, you get kind of annoyed when an application isn't really complete. So make sure that you show that you can follow the instructions for an application to start with. That is a good start. So we hope that the presentation has been helpful to you when it comes to learning about the School of EECS and in your process of choosing your programs to apply for. We certainly hope that it's been helpful in that sense. So with that, we're almost back to where we started, a high-level view of the KTH main campus with surroundings. And this is the end of the presentation part, and we are ready to take questions.
Thank you for the presentation. We have received a lot of questions. And the first one is, what are some of the biggest challenges for students starting at a master program at KTH?
Yes, I can start maybe. One of many of the programs, or all of the programs, they're advanced technical programs that requires a lot of skills in different subjects. So you need high grades to be successful in your studies here at KTH in our master programs. I would say that is something that might be underestimated by some applicants sometimes. For most of the cases, this solves itself because the competition is so fierce, so the grades are going to be important when you select among the different applications. But high grades are needed to fully be able to follow the studies here. And another thing that shouldn't be underestimated is the requirements on English skills. Sure, we do have the TOEFL tests and similar, and that's sort of the low border for passing. But keep in mind that to follow the studies over here and to do well, you might need more advanced English skills than just passing the TOEFL tests. So in some cases it might be useful to spend some time learning English better before you apply. I'm honest to say that, because I've seen cases when language becomes a big challenge for you. Would you like to add something there?
Yeah, one thing I would like to add would be time management.
Good.
Yeah, because the curriculum, the syllabus that we are following in our own home country might be different from the one here. You might feel KTH education either fast-paced or slow-paced, depending solely based on your previous education system. So I would suggest to make your mind prepared, come here, manage your time wisely. Yeah.
That is a really, really good reflection, and I would like to emphasize that there are so many different academic cultures out there, and things that served you really well in the culture where you are right now might not be the thing that serves you best when you're here at KTH. So make sure that when you get here, if you get here, you get acquainted and figure out the rules of the game over here and manage your time well, and then you will be very successful in your studies.
What are the most common programming languages used in the courses?
Yes, that is an interesting question, and that's an interesting question also among the teachers, which programs to use in different courses and so on. So as we have been talking about in the presentation over here, we have a large amount of different programs. There are really a high variety of topics and so on. So of course it might differ from program to program, but at least to give you a hint, in many of the courses Java is a common programming language for like an introductory programming course. It's very common. In some programs you might have C or C together with Java. I would say that Python is another language that is rather common, but I'm not mentioning all of them, but these three at least are somewhat frequently used in the different programming courses. Does it make sense to you in your program?
Yes, and I would also suggest people who are taking EECS, especially the EE part of it, make sure you're familiar with the MATLAB environment. That will help you a lot, because most of the courses are dependent on MATLAB, so make sure that you're familiar with it. And I don't know, maybe next year they might switch to Python. I'm not sure yet, but MATLAB is commonly used.
Yeah, so for programs which are mathematically intensive, like several of the electrical engineering programs in the electrical engineering program, that holds true, absolutely. But again, it really differs between programs.
Do you have any programs within cybersecurity?
What we do have, first of all, we have lots of very prominent security research at the School of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science. And we have many interesting courses at the advanced level and progression in courses in the area of security, both in the Kista campus and in the campus here at Valhallavägen. There is not a master program that is named cybersecurity or anything like that, but there are specialization tracks within some of the programs related to security. For instance, in communication systems, there is a possibility to select a lot of different security courses. I believe also now off the top of my head that you can study security in the computer science program. They have a lot of security courses in computer science. And I also believe that we mentioned the SECLO program, the joint program, which has a name of Security and Cloud Computing. And that's rather security intensive, that particular program. But that's not a pure KTH program, it's a joint program where you study the first year in Aalto in Finland, and then you can study at KTH as one of your options when you go for the second year. So I hope that gives some sort of an answer to the question at least.
Thank you. There's a lot of questions or students that are interested in your research. So one of the biggest questions we received is, how do I apply for a PhD?
How is life for a PhD?
How is life and how do I apply?
Okay, how do I apply? Okay, so at KTH, all PhD positions are announced on the KTH web. So the way to get to a PhD position is, first of all, you need a master degree, of course, and then you need to go through the KTH web and apply for a PhD position. So whenever a research lab has funding to hire a new PhD student, that position is announced on the KTH web, and you apply in competition with others, of course, international competition with others. So, and there are a couple of different distinct time periods when the PhD positions at KTH are jointly announced a couple of times per year. So it's not once per year, it's several times per year, but it's organized and it's synchronized. So you keep an eye on the KTH web. And of course, if you are a student here at KTH and you get in contact with professors and you are interested in PhD studies, you can of course start talking to these persons. But to really get the position, you will have to apply for it through the KTH web. So being a PhD student at KTH means that you have a monthly salary during your studies for a limited amount of time, for up to 5 years. And PhD studies here include courses, they include research with supervisors and so on. And in most cases, you spend 20% of your time doing departmental duties. So a 4-year PhD program normally takes 5 years, taking that part into account. And you have salary during these 5 years.
Thank you. There's a student who is wondering if you can apply for more than 2 programs at KTH.
Yes, you can apply for several. I don't know the limitation. Do you know how many you can apply for?
In universityadmission.se, you can give 4 options, and those 4 options are ranking based. Your first option is the highest priority. So in case you get into that particular master program, all your other options get deleted.
That's right.
You cannot be admitted for any other program. So make sure you give your first choice right, the one you are most likely to get in. So in case you are not getting into your first program, then you'll be analyzed for your second program. So it goes like this. So you can give maximum 4 options from the KTH Masters program.
Okay, so a maximum of 4 programs you can apply for, and you prioritize them. So that requires some navigation among the different programs, so that you really put the one you're most interested in at the top priority. Because that, as Sri explained, that will then invalidate the others, so to speak.
One student wants to ask about the area of computer architecture. Which program is related, computer science or computer engineering or electric design?
Okay, there are several programs where computer architectures are important parts of it. I just have to browse back here a little bit, since I don't have all the program names off the top of my head. So I'm stepping back among the slides over here right now. But depending a little bit on how you define computer architecture, I would say that you find such things in embedded systems, depending on what track you follow. But embedded systems and embedded platforms, that's related to computer architectures, I would say.
Yeah, embedded platform, and embedded platform is more related to the architecture of the system. So you design basically the architecture,
And then you can get, you need to carefully look through the program information and see what courses are mandatory and what courses you can select within your programs, because the computer science related programs might have several options to study computer architecture or related courses as well.
Is it hard to find a master thesis?
It requires some work to find a master thesis, but you're not left on your own and go find a master thesis. No. We organize events for this. For instance, we have a master thesis exhibition, and we had one just in October in the Kista campus, where we have basically had, I think we have, let me see now, I think we had over 50 companies in the ICT area that came and presented potential degree projects. In addition to those, the research groups also have a possibility to present degree projects related to their research projects at the same event. So that is one way to find them. We also announce degree projects on the KTH web, and in some cases you might also find openings for degree projects at some department webs as well. So I would not say that it's difficult, but it requires some work, and you need to find something that you're interested in and so on. So of course you need to spend some time on it, but it's a lot of support for finding the degree projects. It is. Would you like to add something to that? No, Johanna, you have not been searching for degree projects yet.
But I know where to search for.
Okay.
The event that I talked about, the career fair, there the companies that are coming in, they mostly offer a lot of master thesis. So you have a lot of options in front of you. You have to find out your interest, navigate and search that company, talk to them, and then you have to. They have the thesis, the title and everything displayed there, so you can. It's an easy approach, like the fair that you had in Kista in October, something similar to that. But not just for the EECS, but for all the departments and everything. You can also go to the fair as well.
Yeah, you're right. So there are both KTH level events and EECS level events to find degree projects. So in all practical sense, you will find your degree project. Absolutely.
Is there any internship related to electrical engineering offered in the summer for international students?
It's not very common to offer internships. We don't have internships as part of the curricula in the programs normally. But in some research divisions, they might offer internships, but it really depends on the area. So it's not something that automatically is part of the education. And you don't see hundreds of students doing internships at the KTH divisions, but some divisions may have internships for students over the summer.
Like for example, as you said, the research groups within KTH, they might offer internships or summer jobs where we can find the contact and then get the internship for us. Apart from that, you can go and ask a company for an internship or a summer job, if they have an position open. And as you said, it is not a part of the KTH curriculum, so it is out of your own interest that you do that. It is not a mandatory or anything to do that.
No, exactly. And on a related note, we can also mention that maybe it's not really an internship, but we work a lot with teaching assistants and students that perform well in different courses and that might be interested in helping out with recitations or labs or project work and stuff like that to guide other students, might be engaged as TAs for different courses and get paid on an hourly basis for that. So that is something that we work with to quite a large extent, I would say. Having student TAs to help out with courses. That's also a way to get to know professors and other academic staff around you, and which might serve you well, of course.
Is there any faculty scholarship offered by KTH? If so, how do I apply to it?
Faculty scholarships, so if the faculty, I have to say that I'm not aware of any faculty-initiated scholarships for taking master studies at KTH. That's not something that I am aware of. I don't think I've heard anything like that at all.
No, I don't think so. We have faculty-initiated scholarships. We have the
One student wants to know if there's any famous alumni from the EES.
Yeah, there are. I mean, we have there are. Many of the persons that you see in industry these days has a degree from KTH, especially many of the Swedish ones that you see. I mean, I'm not going to go around doing name dropping, but let me put it like this: if you look at the executives, for instance, for large companies, they often come from KTH. They do. And we have, speaking of alumnus, we have a really strong alumni organization at KTH, and we have central resources for managing the alumni organization as well. So it's really, there are great opportunities to get in contact with different alumnus in different contexts. And as an alumni from KTH, you will have access to a huge alumni network.
So another question about the application. On what criteria do you assess the applications?
Oh, that is a very good question, and it might be somewhat an extensive answer, but I will spend a little time on that. I have evaluated lots of applications during my years over here, and first of all, different programs might do it a little bit differently, of course. So I'm not going to be able to present the way that represents the way everybody does it, but the very common way to evaluate the applications is, first of all, they are all going to be ranked in getting a score between 0 and 75. So that goes for all the programs. You get the score, but how you get the score might differ a little bit between different programs. But let me take an example of how we do it within the ones that I have been involved in. We have evaluation guidelines. We are several persons evaluating the applications for a particular program. And it's important for us that we are fair, that we're doing the same thing. So there are guidelines for those evaluating applications for specific programs. And we look at many different things. One important thing, an extremely important thing, is the how well known and how highly ranked is the university where you come from. That's going to give you a rather high weight in most cases. Your grades are highly weighted as well. That is a fact. I'm not going to lie about that. If you have high grades, they will be highly weighted, or they will be weighted the same, of course, but the higher grades you have, the better it is. And then we look at the suitability of your previous degree for the particular program that you apply to. So if you have, normally you define a set of courses that are going to be mandatory that you have taken to be eligible for the program. And then you might have courses that are good to have when you study for the program. And the more of these good and interesting courses you have in your degree, the better suited you will be for the program, and then you will get a little bit of a higher score based on that. We look at work experience. So work experience is important, even though it's not highly weighted, but you get scores for it. The same goes for recommendation letters. In many cases, there might be other information that gets counted as well. And then you sort of sum up these different figures, and you use weight factors in most cases. I'm not saying that everyone does that, but at least the ones that I have been involved in. You weight the university score and the grade score and so on, and you sum them up and you get a figure, and then it's adapted to the 0 to 75 scale. So we look at many parts of the application. So it's important to have a complete applications that will give you the best chance of getting a high score. Mm-hmm. It's a huge amount of work, and we spend a lot of time on doing this in a fair way and in a way that serves you well and that serves us well, so that we want to make sure that when we select students for a particular program, we select the one that are most fitted for it. Mm-hmm. That's what we want to achieve, and that's what you want to achieve as well. Mm-hmm.
Follow-up question from a student is how many recommendation letters is needed?
You can get a good score without recommendation letters because it's not highly weighted. But we normally would like to see 2 of them. Mm-hmm. So if you have 2 of them, and if they are personal, if they are clearly from a professor, for instance, within your previous program or within your previous studies, and that it's sort of is a little bit personal, and it's clear that it's not just a standard formulation and so on. And we also prefer them to be targeted to the specific program that you apply for. So if you apply for communication systems, it would be nice if the recommendation letter really recommends you for that particular program. So if you have 2 real authenticated recommendation letters targeted for the program you're applying for, you will probably get the highest possible score for that particular part. But you can get a really high score without recommendation letters, but it is preferable to have them there.
What is the ratio of students to the programs?
The ratio between male and female students, or
numbers of students for each program?
Aha, okay. Since there are so many programs, they're not all of the same size. I don't have the seat numbers for each individual program off the top of my head, but so I'm not sure that it's going to be very useful information, because it might be easier to get a seat in a program with 25 seats than to get a seat in a program with 200 seats, because the competition is very, very high for some of the programs. So the size varies. Many of them have around 30 to 50 seats in the programs. So when you come to a program over here, you can expect to